Hello students, welcome to Science Learning Gateway. I hope you all are doing good. So today in this tutorial we are going to discuss class 8 science chapter number 10, light reflection and refraction. This chapter is from physics and it carries a good portion of marks in your board exams. You can score a very good marks in this chapter if all the concepts, formulas as well as the definitions are clear. So I request you all to read this chapter nicely so that you can score good marks in your exams. So let's start with your chapter. Before starting, I have a small request from you all. If you are really liking my tutorial and my work, then please like on that tutorial and share it with your friends also, and don't forget to click on the bell icon so that whenever I will be uploading a new video, you'll get the notification for that. And if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe it. And this is a requested video. Many of you have requested me to upload this chapter, light reflection and refraction. So please, if you like this tutorial, then please click on the like button and share with your friends also. So let's start with our discussion. Okay, first of all, we'll start with the introduction part of this chapter. As the name of the chapter is light, you all know that the name of the chapter is light, reflection and refraction. Okay, so in this chapter we'll divide into two parts. In part 1, I will cover reflection, and in part 2, we will start from refraction. So you'll have two parts for this chapter. First one is for reflection and the second part will be for refraction. So as the name of the chapter is light, okay, so first of all you should know what is light. You all know that what is light. In physics, we say that light is a form of energy that enables us to see the things around us. Without light, we cannot see anything, right? For example, if in your room you will not use light during night time, you cannot see the things around you, right? You cannot read your books also. So light is a form of energy. Okay, it is a form of energy that enables us to see the things around us. Without light, we cannot see anything. Now, what are the properties of light? We'll read about those properties also. So the first property is it has electromagnetic wave, so it does not require any medium to travel. Okay, since it carries electromagnetic wave, so it does not require any medium to travel. It can travel in air or in vacuum also. Speed of light is maximum in vacuum. What is the speed of light in vacuum? It is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. This point is important. Okay, speed of light in vacuum is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Light travels in a straight line. Okay, suppose this is the source of light, so it will travel in a straight line. Apart from these properties, one more property of light is that is light has dual nature, means it will behave like particle nature also, it will behave like wave nature also. About those things you will read more in detail when you will go in 12th standard. Okay, so these were the properties of light. Now, whenever the light will fall on a surface, two phenomena can occur. Three phenomena will occur, but in this chapter we'll read about only two phenomena. So whenever light will fall on the substance, what are the three phenomena which can occur? First is your reflection, second one is your refraction, and the third one is absorption. It may be possible that light can be absorbed by that surface. So but in this chapter we don't have to read about absorption, only we'll read about reflection and refraction. So what is reflection and what is refraction? Okay, suppose this is a plane mirror surface. Okay, one light is coming from this source. Suppose we have a light source over there. This ray of light is called incident light. When this light will strike this plane mirror surface, what will happen? A ray of light will be reflected like this. This is called the reflected ray. If we will draw one straight line perpendicular to the surface, so this is called a normal 90 degree. Okay, so this is called normal. This is your incident ray, this is your reflected ray. Okay, so the bouncing back of ray of light when it strikes a plane surface is called reflection. Whenever the light will come, it will be incident on this surface and after that it will bounce back. So this is called your reflection, right? In this, the angle between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence I, and the angle between the reflected ray and the normal is called angle of reflection. Okay, so this is also one of the law of reflection that we will study in this chapter. Now what is refraction? Suppose we have two medium over there. This is your air and this is your water. Okay, Suppose this is a glass slab in which water is filled inside it. This is air and this is water. When a ray of light will come from air and when it will enter into the water surface, what will happen? It will bend. Okay, it will bend. It will not go in a straight line. It will bend. And if you draw a normal straight line over there, it will bend. So this is the incident ray and this is the reflected ray. So what is refraction? The bending of light when it enters from one medium to another medium is called refraction. Okay, whenever the light will enter from one medium to another medium, it will bend. So that is called refraction. So I hope you all have understood something little about reflection and refraction. Next, all those things we'll discuss in this chapter in detail. So first we'll start with reflection part. Okay, so what is reflection? The bouncing back of light when it is incident on a polished surface is called reflection of light. I have given you this example. Let's suppose this is a polished surface. These lines are for polished. Incident light will come. It will incident on this polished surface. It will bounce back. This is reflector ray. This is called reflection. The bouncing back of light when it incident on a polished surface is called reflection of light. Suppose this is a diagram. This is the incident ray. Okay, it will incident on this polished surface. After reflection, what it will bounce back through the reflected ray. It will bounce back. It will go like this. So this is called your reflected ray. If you will draw a normal, means 90 degree, then the angle between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence, and the angle between the reflected ray and the normal is called angle of reflection, right? So according to laws of reflection, angle of incidence I will always be equal to angle of reflection R. So if in the question it will be asked what is reflection, then what you can write this definition: the bouncing back of light when it is incident on a polished surface. You have to write this word, polished surface. Whenever it will strike on a polished surface. It is called reflection of light. Okay, so now we'll read about the two laws of reflection, right? So the angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. I is equal to R. Okay, and what is angle of incidence? The angle between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence, and the angle between the reflected ray and the normal is called angle of reflection. If in the question it will be asked what is angle of incidence and what is the angle of reflection, then you can easily write this one. Okay, remember this diagram. This is the incident ray. Okay, the light ray is coming and it is incident on this polished surface. After that, when it will bounce back, and this is called the reflected ray. And if you draw a 90 degree or a straight line from here, from this center point, the angle between the incidence and the angle between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence I, and the angle between the normal and the reflected ray is called angle of reflection R. Okay, so there are two laws of reflection. First one is angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. I is equal to R. And the second law of reflection is the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie on the same plane. This is our incident ray, this is our reflected ray, and the normal at the point of incidence all lie on the same plane. See, you can see this polished surface and all the rays are lying on the same plane at the point of incidence. This is the point of incidence. Okay, so these are the two laws of reflection, and it is very important from your exam point of view. Always the questions are asked, write the laws of reflection or state the laws of reflection. Then you have to write these two laws. Don't get confused between the laws of reflection and refraction. About laws of refraction we'll read in next video. Okay, so these are the two laws of reflection. Angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. The incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie on the same plane. Okay, I hope you will have understood the laws of reflection as well as the reflection definition. Now we'll move towards the next topic, image. Okay, suppose whenever the object is there, so when you'll keep that object near a mirror, what you'll see? Image of the object we can see, right? Or suppose whenever the light will fall on that object, then also we'll see image of the object. So what is image? Image is a point where at least two light rays actually meet or appear to meet. This is the definition of image. Image is a point where at least two light rays actually meet or appear to meet. Okay, suppose this is our candle. Okay, so from here light is coming out. the image of the object will be formed over there. Two light rays are coming and meeting over there. So that is called the image of the object. Okay, this is the definition of image. Image is a point where two light rays actually meet or appear to meet. Means it is possible that the two light rays will meet, okay, but it may happen they will appear to meet. So that is called image. So there are two, on the basis of this there are two types of images. One is called real image and the other one is called virtual image. You have to remember the differences between the real image and the virtual image. It is very important, okay. So what are real images? Real images are those images which can be obtained on the screen, and virtual images are those images which cannot be obtained on the screen. This is the main difference between the real image and the virtual image. Okay, real image can be obtained on the screen, like for example your cinema theater, cinema screen or projector. In that the images can be obtained on the screen, and virtual image, the image cannot be obtained by the screen, like the image formed by the plane mirror or the convex mirror. Okay. So now we'll discuss the differences between the real image and the virtual image. So first point for real images formed when light rays actually meet. Okay, so when real images will form, since the word real, so real is something like real things. So when the light rays will actually meet, that time real images will be formed. Virtual images formed when light rays appear to meet. Virtual means we have to think when the light rays will appear to meet, that time virtual images are formed. It can be obtained on the screen. Real images can be obtained on the screen, but virtual images cannot be obtained on the screen. Right? Third point, a real image is inverted with respect to the object. Inverted, suppose this is your object, okay, and the image obtained is like this, then this is called the inverted image, opposite to that. Okay, so real image is always inverted with respect to the object. A virtual image is erect with respect to the object. Erect means suppose this is your object and this is the image. Same, they are like same, so it is called erect image. Okay, so you have to remember real image is inverted and virtual image is erect. Examples of real image. Image formed on the cinema screen. You all have went to the cinema screen or the movie theater. The images which are formed on the cinema screens are real images. And even the projector. Many times in your schools, they are using your teachers are using the projectors, right? So the images which are formed on the projector, that are also real images. Next example for virtual images, image formed by plane mirror. Okay, the mirrors which we are using at our homes, the plane mirrors and the or convex mirror. So these are the examples of virtual images. Now, image formed by the plane mirror. Now we'll discuss about the images formed by the plane mirror. Suppose this is our plane mirror M and M dash. Okay, and this is the object AB. If a ray of light will come from here to here, what will happen? It will strike on the surface and a ray of light is coming from this point to this point. Okay, then what will happen? If we will extend this rays of light from here to here, a point will be formed over there. Okay, and that will be the object of the image. This is your, sorry, that will be the object of the image. AB is your object, A dash B dash is the image. Okay, so this is like image formed by the plane mirror. We'll discuss all these things in detail in the next section. Characteristics of image formed by the plane mirror. What are the different characteristics of image that will be formed by the plane mirror? Characteristics means features of the image formed by the plane mirror. This is also important. In exam it is asked, write the properties or characteristics of images formed by the plane mirror. First one is virtual and erect. Whenever the images will be formed by plane mirror, the image will be virtual and erect. Virtual means it cannot be obtained on the screen. Erect means like you can see the object AB. Like that only same object A dash B dash will be formed. Size of the image is equal to size of the object. You can see over there the size of the image is equal to the size of the object. Image is formed as far behind the mirror as the object is in front of it. Okay, the distance between the image and the mirror, sorry, the distance between the object and the mirror will be equal to the distance between the image and the mirror. Okay, this image is formed far behind the mirror as the object is in front of it. Suppose this is 2 cm, this will also be 2 cm. Laterally inverted. The images formed by the plane mirror are laterally inverted. What is laterally inverted? The left side of the image will look right side of the image in the mirror. Okay, that is called lateral inversion. We'll read the definition of lateral inversion now. So these are the characteristics of the image formed by the plane mirror. Suppose the object is like this and this is your plane mirror. So how R will look in the mirror? Like this. Okay, this is called your lateral inversion. So the images formed by the plane mirror are virtual and erect. Size of the image is equal to size of the object. Image is formed as far behind the mirror as the object is in front of it. Or you can write this point like this also. The distance between the image, the distance between the object and the mirror will be equal to the distance between the mirror and the image. Laterally inverted. Images formed are laterally inverted. Now what is lateral inversion? The right side of the object appears left side of the image and vice versa. Okay, the right side of the object will appear the left side of the image, and the left side of the image will appear right side of the image. That is called lateral inversion. Just now I have told you that if R we will place near a mirror, it will look just opposite. The left side will become right side and the right side will become left side. That is called lateral inversion. What is the application of lateral inversion? You all have seen the ambulance. You have seen in the ambulance it is written like this. In the reverse order they have written the word like this. In all the ambulance you can see the ambulance word is written like this. So that the vehicle which is behind that ambulance can read that word clearly in the mirror and let that ambulance go, because ambulance are always carrying the patients in that van, in their van. Okay, so it's emergency situation, they need to reach the hospital quickly, so the vehicle should give the way to them and the ambulance can go forward. So what is the application of lateral inversion? The word ambulance is written in reverse direction so that it can be read correctly in the rear view mirror of the vehicles going in front of it. You can see in the reverse order it's written over there. Why it's written in the reverse order? Because so that the vehicles which are going forward means which are behind that ambulance, which are behind that ambulance, they can read the ambulance word clearly in the rear view mirror and they should give them way so that they can go forward, the ambulance can go forward. So this was all about your characteristics of images as well as the lateral inversion. From this the question is asked, why ambulance is written in reverse order? So what answer you will write? Because so that it can be read correctly in the rear view mirror of the vehicles going in front of it, and they can give way to the ambulance. Okay. Our next topic is spherical mirrors. Spherical mirrors, spheres means like a circle. Spheres, you know what is the shape of the sphere? Like a circle. So spherical mirrors. What are spherical mirrors? Such mirrors whose reflecting surface are spherical are called spherical mirrors. Okay. The mirrors whose reflecting surfaces are spherical are called spherical mirrors. So there are two types of spherical mirrors, concave mirror and convex mirror. You can see in the diagram, this is the concave mirror. Its inner side is reflecting one. Okay, the inner side of the concave mirror is reflecting surface and outer side is polished. You can see it is like lines are drawn. So this one is polished. So you have to remember, in concave mirror the inner side is reflecting surface and the outer side is polished. And the convex mirror, you can see the outer side is your reflecting surface and the inner side is polished. Okay, concave means like a cave it is. From inside it is like a cave. So you have to remember, concave mirrors are like a cave from inside and the inner side is reflecting one and the outer side is polished. But in convex mirror the outer side is plain or reflecting surface and the outside is polished. Okay, now what are the properties of concave mirror and convex mirror? You have seen the spoons, right? Spoons which you use for eating the food. The inside of that spoon, from where you pick that food, that will behave like a concave mirror and the outer portion of the spoon will behave like a convex mirror. Now what are the properties of concave mirror? First we'll discuss the properties of concave mirror. This one, reflecting surface is curved inwards. You can see this is the reflecting surface, it is curved inwards. Okay, this is the reflecting surface. If the light rays will come, it will strike this surface. Okay, and in this one it will strike from outside. So reflecting surface is curved inwards. It is also called converging mirrors. Converging mirrors means the light rays will come and meet at a point. So it is called a converging mirror. And for convex mirror, what you can write? Reflecting surface is curved outward. This is the reflecting surface from outside. So it is curved outside. curved outside, and it is also called diverging mirror. Diverging mirrors means the light rays will split from apart like this. So this was all about your spherical mirrors. Okay, so there are two types of concave mirror. There are two types of spherical mirrors: concave mirror and convex mirror. Concave mirrors, you should remember that inside surface will be reflecting in nature, and for convex mirror, you should remember that the outside surface is reflecting in nature. Concave mirrors are also called converging mirrors. Concave. You can see the word concave, converging. Okay, and convex mirrors are called diverging mirror. Next, we have common terms for spherical mirrors. There are various types of terms used for spherical mirrors that you should know the definition so that it will be easy for you for drawing the ray diagrams. First one is our principal axis. What is principal axis? The line joining the pole and the center of curvature is called principal axis. Suppose this is our mirror. Okay, the line which is drawn straight, it is called principal axis. The line joining the pole and center of curvature, this is the center of curvature. The line joining the pole and center of curvature is called principal axis. Okay. Second one, pole. What is pole? The center of the reflecting surface of a spherical mirror is a point called the pole. The center of the reflecting surface of a spherical mirror is called the pole of the mirror. The center part of the mirror, it is called the pole of the mirror. Okay. Now, what is aperture? This is aperture, MN. Okay, it is the effective diameter of the spherical mirror. Suppose you draw one line, it will be the diameter of the spherical mirror. So it is called the aperture. Center of curvature, the center of the hollow glass sphere of which the mirror was a part is called the center of curvature. Okay, the center of the hollow glass sphere of which the mirror was a part is called the center of curvature. Next, we have radius of curvature. What is radius of curvature? The distance between the pole and center of curvature is called radius of curvature. Okay, now center of curvature is the center of the hollow glass sphere of which the mirror of the part. Suppose if we mark the center of curvature over there. Suppose we mark the center of curvature over there. So this is called center of curvature. And what is radius of curvature? The distance between the center of curvature and the pole is called radius of curvature R. Focus, the point on the principal axis where all the parallel light rays actually meet or appear to meet after reflection. This point, it is called the focus. Over there in the focus point, the light rays which are coming on the principal axis will actually meet or appear to meet. All the light rays will meet or appear to meet at this point, focus. And what is focal length F? The distance between the pole and the focus is called the focal length. Okay, the distance between the pole and the focus, it is called focal length, and it is denoted by the small letter F. Okay, so distance between the pole and the focus is called focal length, and there is one relationship between the focal length and radius of curvature R. R is equal to 2F, means radius of curvature is equal to 2 into F, 2 into focal length. Generally numericals are asked from this question also. They will give you the focal length and you have to calculate the radius of curvature. Then how you will calculate? You have to multiply it with 2. For example, focal length is given as 2 meter and you have to find the radius of curvature. What you will do then? 2 into 2, you will get 4. That will be your radius of curvature. So this is the relation. Focal length F is equal to R by 2, or you can write R is equal to 2F. Any one formula if you will remember, you can write the thing easily. Focal radius of curvature is equal to 2F, or focal length is equal to radius of curvature divided by 2. Now we'll discuss about some of the rules which are used for drawing the ray diagrams by spherical mirrors. If you remember these rules, it will be easy for you to draw the ray diagrams. Okay, rules for making ray diagram by spherical mirror. The first rule is a ray parallel to the principal axis after reflection will pass through the principal axis in case of a concave mirror. For concave mirror also we'll discuss over here, and for convex mirror also. So first of all, I will discuss for the concave mirror. This point is given for concave mirror. A ray parallel to the principal axis after reflection will pass through the principal focus in case of concave mirror. Suppose this is your concave mirror. Okay, this is the principal axis. This is the pole P, this point is focus, and this is your center of curvature C. So what they are saying, a ray of light which is parallel to the principal axis. This is the principal axis, and this ray of light we have drawn which is parallel to the principal axis. After reflection will pass through the principal focus in case of a concave mirror. So what they are saying, if this ray of light is striking on the surface, incident on the surface, after reflection it will pass through focus. It will pass through the focus point F. Okay, like this. Suppose this is your concave mirror, this is the outer surface, this is your principal axis. This point is P, this point is F, and this point is your C. And we have drawn one ray of light which is parallel to the principal axis. So after reflection it will pass through the focus F. Okay, so this is the rule for concave mirror. Now what is the rule for convex mirror? Or appear, a ray of light which is parallel to the principal axis or reflection, after reflection will pass through the principal after reflection will pass through the principal focus or appear to diverge from the principal focus in case of convex mirror. See, this is the convex mirror, its outer surface is the reflecting surface. This is the ray which is parallel to the principal focus. So after reflection what it will do? It will appear to diverge from the principal focus. Okay, this is the focus point P. If it will strike on this surface, and if you will draw one line over there, and from the center of curvature, if there also one line we are drawing, they are diverging. These two lines are not meeting at a point. Okay, so this will be for convex mirror. Second rule what we have, a ray passing through the principal focus of a concave mirror or a ray which is directed towards the principal focus of a convex mirror after reflection will emerge parallel to the principal axis. Okay, for concave mirror first we'll discuss. This is the principal focus, this is the principal axis. This ray, a ray which is passing through the principal focus. One ray of light is coming which is passing through the principal focus. After passing through the principal focus it will strike on the mirror, and after reflection it will become parallel to the principal axis. Just now we have read that a ray of light which will be parallel to the principal axis will pass through the focus point. But in this case what we have to remember, that if a ray of light will pass through the principal focus, it will become parallel to the principal axis in case of concave mirror. But in case of convex mirror what it will do, a ray of light which is passing through the principal focus, okay, will emerge. This is the focus point F. If a ray of light, if this ray of light is coming from, this is the incident ray of light, okay, it is coming from here, and if we will draw this line from center of curvature, it will also become parallel to the principal axis. So in both the cases the ray of lights are becoming parallel to the principal axis. Now the third rule what we have, a ray passing through the center of curvature of a concave mirror or directed in the direction of the center of curvature of a convex mirror after reflection is reflected back along the same path. Suppose this is the ray of light which is coming, which is incidenting on this, which is passing through the center of curvature, it will come and strike this one. After reflection what it will do, it will go along the same path. Like this we have to show the arrow. A ray of light is coming also and it is going back also through the same path. If it will pass through the center of curvature, it will again, after reflection, it will again go back in the same direction. Now for convex mirror what it will do, if a ray of light is coming from this point and it is incidenting on center of curvature, after reflection it will go along the same path in convex mirror also. Now fourth rule what we have, a ray incident obliquely to the principal axis towards the point P, pole of the mirror, on the concave or a convex mirror is reflected obliquely. The incident and the reflected ray follow the laws of reflection at the point of incidence, making equal angle with the principal axis. Suppose a ray of light was coming in from this direction. It is incident, it is striking on point P. After reflection, it will make an equal angle and it will reflect like this. This is your incident ray, this is the reflected ray, right? And this is the normal for this one. The angle of incidence will be equal to angle of reflection. What they are saying, a ray of light incident to the principal axis towards a point P on the concave or convex mirror is reflected obliquely. And they will follow the laws of reflection also, means the angle between the angle of incidence will be equal to angle of reflection. A ray of incident light, when it will strike on the point P, it will reflect back along in this direction, and the angle will be same for concave mirror also and in convex mirror also. You can see for convex mirror also it will strike on point P, and after reflection it will go back like this. So this is the incident ray, this is the reflected ray. Angle of incidence will be equal to angle of reflection. So these are the 4 laws which we have to remember for drawing the ray diagram. Now one by one we'll discuss the ray diagrams for concave mirror as well as for convex mirror. First we'll discuss the ray diagrams for images formed by concave mirror. Okay, first we'll draw the ray diagrams for concave mirror. First, in this we have altogether 6 cases. So all the 6 cases you should remember, because in exam you can get any question that draw the ray diagram for concave mirror when the object is at infinity. Draw the ray diagram for concave mirror when the object is at C. So you should remember all this. If 2-3 times you will practice, you will learn the diagrams. Okay, first case is when the object is at infinity. Infinity means at very far place where we cannot see also. Suppose this is our object AB. Okay, it is at infinity. So image position is at infinity. This is our concave mirror. This is the principal axis. Okay, so ray of light will go from this point also and this point also. From A also one ray of light can go, and from B also one ray of light can go. They will strike on the surface. Okay, after reflection, first rule we have read, when a ray of light is parallel to the principal axis, after reflection it will pass through focus point. This ray of light is also parallel to the principal axis, it will also pass through the focus point. So over there 2 rays of lights are meeting. So our image will be formed at point F, at focus. You can see image position at F. Okay, now what will be the nature of the image? Since 2 rays light are actually meeting, so we will write the nature of the image will be real and inverted. They are meeting, they are not appearing to meet, they are actually meeting. So the nature of the image will be real and inverted. As you can see, the size of the image is very small, point size. So what will be the size of the image? Point size, or a highly diminished image. Okay, so like this you can draw this one. Second one is when the object is beyond C. This is our concave mirror, this is the principal axis. Okay, this is the point pole, this is focus point F, and this is center of curvature. One more thing I want to say, the distance between the pole and focus is 1 centimeter. Then you have to make this distance also equal. Distance between the center of curvature and focus should also be 1 centimeter. Like this you have to draw with your scale. Okay, when the object is beyond C means after C. Suppose this is our object AB. Okay, now one ray of light will come from A like this. It is parallel to the principal axis, correct? So after reflection it will pass through focus point. One more ray of light can come from like this. So 2 rays of light we need. One ray of light is this one. One more from where we can get? We cannot draw from B, right? So one more ray of light can pass through center of curvature C. Okay, it is passing through, and we have read that if a ray of light will pass through center of curvature C, it will be reflected back along the same direction. You can see both the arrows. So now where the 2 rays are meeting, if we will extend this ray of light, the 2 rays will meet at this point between C and F. So this will be our object A dash B dash. Okay, so the object will be formed between F and C. And what will the nature of the image? The two rays of lights are actually meeting, so it is real and inverted. You can see it is inverted. Down arrow, it is having the up arrow, and the size is diminished, small size. Okay, smaller than the object. Third one is when object is at C. So you will draw for object is at C. This is your mirror, this is the principal axis, this is a pole, this is focus point, and this is the point C. So your object is at C, AB. Okay, so now one ray of light will come from here. Okay, so if this ray of light is parallel to the principal axis, so according to the rule it will pass through the focus point F. Now one ray of light can pass through like this also, through focus point F. Okay, if through focus point F it is passing, it should be parallel to the principal axis. We have read in the rule, if a ray of light is passing through the focus, it will be parallel to the principal axis. So these 2 rays are meeting at point, at where? They are meeting at point C only. So if the object is at C, the image position will also be at C. You can see this is the point C. Over there object AB is there. If we will draw one line ray of light from here, it will pass through the focus point F, and the next ray of light from where we can draw, from this point, it will pass through the focus point F and it will become parallel to the principal axis. So both the rays of light are meeting at the point C only. So the object will be formed at point C, A dash B dash object. So image position will be at C and both the rays are meeting actually. So the nature of the image is real and inverted. Size, same size as that of the object. You can see the size of both the image as well the object is same. So you have to write same size as that of the object. Isn't it easy? If you draw 1 or 2 times, you have to practice, then you can draw it easily, right? Now, the fourth case we have. Now we have the fourth case. In fourth case, the object is placed between F and C. When the object is at F and C, focus and center of curvature. This is the principal axis. This is the concave mirror aperture M, and we have marked it. Okay. So this is the pole P. This is center of curvature and this is the focus point F. This is your focus point F. So where we have to keep the object between F and C. F and C. So this is the object position AB. Okay. So one ray of light will come from this point. It is parallel to the principal axis, so it will pass through the focus point F. The second ray of light, from where we can pass it? We can pass it through center of curvature, because no other options we have in this case. So we have to pass it through center of curvature. We know that if we will pass one ray of light through center of curvature, it will be reflected back in the same direction. So if both the rays of light will meet together, they will meet over there beyond C, and this name of the object will be A dash and B dash. So what will the image position? Beyond C. Both the rays are actually meeting, so the nature of the image is real and inverted. Enlarged means bigger than the object. You can see the AB size is small, but the object A dash B dash is bigger than that of the object. Okay. And the fifth case, when the object is at F, means at focus. Okay. Now we have placed the object as at focus AB. So one ray of light can be drawn like this. It will be parallel to the principal axis. If it is parallel to the principal axis, it will pass through the focus point F. This is one case. Second case, what we can draw, one ray of light can pass from center of curvature. From center of curvature, if it is passing, it will incident back on the same path. So both the rays of light will not meet, right? We cannot appear, they cannot meet. At infinity, maybe they will meet, but we cannot see where they are meeting. So the image position will be at infinity because they are not meeting. Nature of the image, real and inverted, because both the rays will meet somewhere. They will meet, the nature of the image will be real and inverted. Size, the size will be highly enlarged, means it will be much bigger than that of the object. And the last case is when the object is placed between P and F, between pole and principal focus. Okay, you can see the object AB we have placed between this one. Okay, so now one ray of light, how it will one ray of light can pass through, can incident on point P. We have read that a ray of light, when it incident on point P, it will reflect back through the same angle, means angle of incidence should be equal to angle of reflection. So this is one ray of light which will reflect back in like this. The second ray of light can pass through the center of curvature. It will pass through the same, it will go back on the same line, the direction should be same, because we have read it, when a ray of light will pass through center of curvature, it will be reflected back on the same path. When we will extend both the lines, they will meet behind the mirror. You can see A dash B dash object, it is, the image is formed behind the mirror, not on the mirror, not on the surface of the mirror, it is behind the mirror. So the image position will be behind the mirror. Nature of the image, there we are appearing to meet, the lines are appearing to meet, the dotted lines you can see. So it will be virtual and erect. It cannot be obtained on the screen. The lines are, the rays of lights are appearing to meet. It is virtual and erect. Erect means like the heads of the arrow you can see, and enlarged, much bigger than that of the object. So these are the 6 cases for concave mirror. I hope you all have understood. Practice 1 or 2 times. It will be good for you. Next, we have uses of concave mirror. This is also very important from your exam point of view. Questions are asked from this sections also. Okay, uses of mirror, at least 2-3 uses you should remember. The first use of concave mirror is, concave mirrors are used in torches, okay, searchlights, and in vehicle headlights. You have seen the vehicle headlights, they all are concave mirror to get powerful parallel beams of light. So where do we use the concave mirror? In torches, searchlights and in vehicle headlights to get powerful parallel beams of light. Second one, they are used as shaving mirrors, okay, to see a large image of the face. In our house also it is used as shaving mirrors. They're used by the dentist. Even when you went to the dentist, that time the dentists are using the mirror. Okay, that mirror is the concave mirror to see the large image of the teeth of the patients. And the fourth one is large concave mirrors are used to concentrate sunlight to produce heat in solar furnace. In solar furnaces also concave mirrors are used so that they can if the sunlight will fall on that mirror, they can concentrate those sunlight to produce heat. Means the sunlight will be collected on those mirrors and it can produce heat. So where we can use the concave mirror? They are used in torches, searchlights and vehicle headlights. They are used as shaving mirrors. They are used by the dentist to see the large particles of the teeth, and they are also used in the solar furnace. So these are some of the uses of concave mirrors. Next, we have ray diagrams of images formed by convex mirror. For this, only two cases are there. In concave mirror, we have read the 6 cases, but in this, we have to draw only 2 cases. First one is when object is placed at infinity. This is the convex mirror. Like this, you have to draw the convex mirror. Okay, this is the polished surface and this is the reflecting surface. This will be the principal axis like this. This is your pole, focus point F, and center of curvature C. Like this you can see in the diagram. So the object is placed at infinity. The reflecting surface is this one. The ray of light will strike at the surface. So the rays of light will go and strike at the surface. Okay. So if they are striking on the surface, what will happen? They will if a ray of light are parallel to the principal axis, they will pass through the focus. So we have to make it pass through the focus. We have to draw the lines like this. Okay. So where do the object will be formed? The image will be formed at point at F. Because the rays of lights are parallel to the principal axis, the image will be formed at point F. Virtual and erect. The rays of light are not meeting by their own. They are appearing to meet. So the image is formed will be virtual and erect. Size very small, point size. Okay. So remember this diagram. It's easy. The lines are parallel to the principal axis and they will meet at focus point F. Next one. When the object is placed at infinity and pole of the mirror. When the object is placed between infinity and pole of the mirror. This is the pole of the mirror and suppose this is the infinity. Between infinity and pole of the mirror means not at focus, not on center of curvature, between infinity and pole of the mirror. This is AB. One ray of light will incident on the mirror. This is parallel to the principal axis. If it is parallel to the principal axis, it will pass through the focus. We have to make it appear to pass through the focus. It is striking like this. So we'll draw one line like this. And one point what we can do, a ray of light can pass through the center of curvature like this. This is center of curvature. We know that if a ray of light will pass through center of curvature, it will go back on the same direction. You can see 2 arrows are there. Okay. Now what we have to do? We have to extend this line also. This line and this line. Now, where are the 2 rays meeting? The 2 rays are meeting at this point. AB is your object. Okay, it is formed between the pole and the focus. So image position will be between P and F. And what is the nature of the image? Since the lines rays of lights are appearing to meet, we have to write virtual and erect. Diminished means small size than that of the object. So you have to remember, in case of concave mirror, the object forms are real and inverted. But in case of convex mirror, we have seen that the object form of virtual erect over there also. Now, what are the uses of convex mirror? That we will read now. Convex mirrors are used as rear view mirrors in the vehicles. Okay, in the vehicles you have seen, you can see like this. They are used in the rear as a rear view mirrors in the vehicles. Why the convex mirrors are used as rear view mirrors in the vehicles? This question is mostly asked. So what reasons you have to write? Because they always give an erect though diminished image. They have a wider field of view as they are curved outwards. So they are used as a rear view mirrors because they always give the erect image of the object. Means the cars or the vehicles which are coming from back, they will all those vehicles image can be easily seen on that mirror, and they also give a wider field of view to the driver. Okay, so this is the reason convex mirror are used as a rear view mirrors in vehicles, because they always give an erect though diminished image of the object. They have a wider field of view as they are curved outwards. They are used in shops as security mirrors. In the shops also they are used as security mirrors. They are also used for making magnifying glasses. You have seen the magnifying glasses. They are also used for making the magnifying glasses. They are used for making sunglasses. Even in the sunglasses also convex mirrors are used. They are used in the street lights as they are good reflectors of light, and in street lights also convex mirrors are used. So where do we use the convex mirror? They are used as rear view mirrors in the vehicles, and this question is very important. Why convex mirrors are used as rear view mirrors in vehicles? So you have to write these two reasons. Because they always give an erect and though erect image of the object, and they have a wider field of view as they are curved outwards. They are used in the shops. They are used for making magnifying glasses, and they are used for making the sunglasses also, and in the street lights also they are used because they are good reflectors of light. Next, we have sign conventions for reflection by spherical mirrors. Okay, few points are given. Only you have to remember this one. No need to mug it up. Okay, because this you have to use for the numericals. For numericals, I will make a separate video so that your concepts will be clear. Okay, the object is placed left to the mirror. Always the object will be placed where? To the left of the mirror. All distances parallel to the principal axis are measured from pole of the mirror. Okay, the distance which are parallel to the principal axis will be measured from where? From the pole of the mirror. All the distances measured to the right of the origin are taken as positive, while those measured to the left of the origin are taken as negative. Means the distance which we will measure from the right of the origin along the x-axis are taken as positive. Means along the positive x-axis will take as positive, and those distance which will measure from the left of the origin means the starting point, are taken as negative. Distance measured perpendicular to and above the principal axis are taken as positive. Okay, all the distance which are measured perpendicular and above the principal axis are taken as positive, but the distance which are measured perpendicular to and below the principal axis are taken as negative. Okay, we will understand this through a diagram. Okay, you can see this diagram given over there. In this we will understand this one. Okay, suppose this is a mirror, right? Okay, all the objects are placed left to the mirror. This is your object AB. Direction of the incident light. This is the direction of the incident light. This direction you have to take over there. Okay, so if it is from left to right, it will always be taken as positive. Okay, and if it is from right to left, it will be taken as negative. The distances from towards the right will be taken as positive, and distances towards the left will be taken as negative. Okay, suppose someone is measuring the distance from this point to this point, it will be taken as positive, but from this point to this point it will be negative. Okay, upward height we have to always take as positive, and downward height we have to take as negative. Okay, now object distance u is always taken as negative. Suppose this is our object. Okay, this is the object. It is from this point to from pole of the mirror. It will always taken as negative. Focal length of the concave mirror is negative. Focal length of the convex mirror is positive. Okay, focal length of a concave mirror, you have to remember these 2 points also. Focal length of concave mirror is always negative, and focal length of convex mirror is positive. Object distance u is taken as negative. Okay, whenever object distance is denoted by u, small u, and image distance is denoted by v, small v. Okay, so whenever we have to take the object distance, we have to take as negative. Now mirror formula and magnification we'll read now. In this, the mirror formula, what is the mirror formula? 1 by f is equal to 1 by v plus 1 by u. This is a very important formula which you have to use for the numericals. Okay. Suppose in the question focal length will be given, image distance will be given. You have to calculate the object distance. You can easily use this formula to calculate all those things. Okay. Where f is the focal length, small f, small v, small u. V is your distance of the image or image distance, u is your distance of the object. 1 by f is equal to 1 by v plus 1 by u. This is the mirror formula. 1 by f is equal to 1 by u plus 1 by v. Okay, f is focal length, u is image object distance, and v is your image distance. Okay, so this is your mirror formula. Now, what is magnification M? Magnification is denoted by small m. Okay, what is magnification? It is a ratio of height of the image to the height of the object. Okay, we have taken height of the image as h dash and the height of the object as h. So, it is a ratio of height of the image to height of the object. Magnification M is equal to height of the image divided by height of the object, h dash by h. Okay, it can also be related with object distance and image distance also. Then what we can write? Magnification M is equal to h dash by h, and magnification M can also be written as minus v by u. V is our image distance, u is our object distance, right? So M is equal to minus m by u, M is equal to h dash by h, image distance divided by height of the image divided by height of the object. So what we can write? Minus v by u is equal to h dash by h also we can write, because in both the cases mm is there. So we can relate equation 1 with equation 2. So what you can write? This is the final formula for magnification. Magnification is equal to height of the image divided by height of the object, or you can write minus v by u. V is your image distance, u is your object distance. So this is the formula for magnification in case of mirror. Now, if m is negative, means if magnification is negative, then image is real. This question is also asked. Suppose in the question they will give you what will be the nature of the mirror if the magnification is -2. You can see the negative sign is given over there. Then you have to say the image is real image. Okay, and what will the nature of the image if the magnification is +5? Then +5 is there. Then you have to say it is a virtual image. So whenever the magnification is negative, image is real, and whenever the magnification is positive, the image is virtual image. Okay, remember this point. Next one, if h dash is equal to h, means height of the image is equal to height of the object, then magnification is equal to 1. How it can be 1? Because we have written h dash is equal to h. H dash is equal to h. Okay, then if suppose 2 by 2, it will be cancelled 1, then magnification will become 1. Okay, then that time image is equal to the object, that is image is equal to the object. Next one, if h dash is greater than h, means height of the image will be greater than height of the object, then magnification will be greater than 1, that is image is enlarged image. Okay, if whenever the height of the object will be greater than the height of the image, that time magnification will be greater than the 1. So the image form will be enlarged image, large image. Whenever the height of the image will be more than height of the object, that time what will happen? Magnification will be less than 1, that is the image is diminished, means small size of the image. Okay. Next, the third point was height of the image, height of the object. Okay, whenever the height of the image will be less than the height of the object, that time magnification will be less than 1, and that time the image is diminished image. Okay, magnification of plane mirror is always +1. In case of plane mirror, the magnification is always +1. If magnification is positive and less than 1, it is a whenever the magnification is positive and less than 1, it is a convex mirror. Okay, whenever the magnification is positive and less than 1, what will be the nature of the image? Convex. And whenever the magnification is positive but more than 1, it is a concave mirror. And whenever the magnification is negative, it is also a concave mirror. So you have to remember these points, so that whenever small questions will be asked, you can easily write those answers. So with this, we have finished the reflection part. I hope you all have understood few numericals. For numericals, I'll make a separate video so that you will understand those things, learn all the definitions as well as the mirror formulas, and at last what I have told you, ray diagrams you should practice for this one. Mirror formula, magnification formula. Magnification is the ratio of height of the image to the height of the object, this one, and minus v by u means your image distance divided by object distance. You have to remember that both the images, image height, whether it is height of the image or distance of the image, it will be at the top, and height of the object or distance of the object will be at the bottom. That thing you have to remember, and this thing also you have to remember. If magnification is negative, image is real. Magnification is positive, image is a virtual image. Okay, these things you have to remember. With this, we have finished the chapter. For reflection, I will make a separate video, the second part of this chapter, so that will cover the full chapter. After that, I will make a separate video for the numericals also. I hope you all have understood the chapter. Read the textbook once and go through the video. Thank you for watching my channel Science Learning Gateway. If it is helpful for you, share it with your friends also, and don't forget to click on the bell icon so that whenever I will be uploading a new video, you'll get the notification for that. And if you like this tutorial, then please click on the like button and do comment in the comment section whether you have understood or not, and practice the ray diagrams. Okay, thank you for watching my channel.